right, hey, shalom, shalom. Before I get started, as always, I want to give all praise unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutations and blessings to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four winds of the earth that believe wholeheartedly in the true doctrine that is being pushed, and who are in hope of mercy and salvation during the time of Jacob's trouble, as well as when Yahweh Shai returns to the planet Earth. All right, to you I say shalom, and we just gonna jump right into this. This is a in the news type of a video dealing with what's now starting to spread throughout the entire U.S. With concerning the ICE raids, the kidnapping of everything that's going on that sprung and started here in Southern California. Now we're starting to see these things spiral all over the U.S. All right, which this is indeed a controlled this is controlled event. This is what you call Hegelian dialect: pressure from above and pressure from below. All right, which indeed things are happening. People are being deported. People are being kidnapped. But you still have the aspect of this whole operation that's going on of these people. When I say these people, I'm talking about these Idumeans, these Edomites, those who want control. They are the provocators of this thing to happen. All right, they're hiring protesters. They're the ones, making it seem as if things are violent, which in turn is causing for escalation of the operation. All right, and it's going to continue to do so. Okay, and what I have here are these two clips from Democracy Now! I have this one here, which features this woman by the name of Jean Guerrero. I'm not a woman. I believe that's her name, Jean Guerrero. She wrote a book entitled Hate Monger. Steve Miller and you'll hear the author, the title of her book. And what you're seeing is the people, all right, are not falling for E's propaganda, but it don't matter because he's gonna make it happen anyway. Anytime you put out an ad and you looking for the biggest and the baddest in the in the Los Angeles area, and you're gonna pay $6,500 to $12,500 per week, you're gonna get people to do whatever, even if they're not of the so-called Latino community. All right, as we've seen, I know many of us have seen the videos. You got Edomites out there waving Mexican flags, making it seem more than what it is for the cameras, so that they can report and be justified into going to the next extreme. All right, but this is all Esau's plan, and he's putting it into motion to execute. All right, and this is why this is in the news. Execution of Esau Edom's plan. All right, but at the end of the day, the Lord, this is a part of the Lord's plan, but the Lord is going to destroy this man's his plan, because it's not a part of the final counsel of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. These Edomites will not win. Okay, but there will be many casualties in the midst. All right, and that's all the judgment of the Lord. Okay. So without any further ado, let's check this out. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna start it from the beginning, and then we'll get here. Well, I'm gonna start it here, and okay, yeah, there it is. Where's her book she mentions? So let's play a little bit from the beginning.
Troops into the city following 4 days of protests against military-style immigration raids. The Pentagon's deployed 700 Marines to Los Angeles, and President Trump's deployed an additional 2,000 members of the National Guard, bringing the total National Guard's members to 4,000. On Monday, the state of California sued to block the use of National Guard troops. We'll speak to California's Attorney General Rob Bonta later in the broadcast. On Monday, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass decried the militarized response.
We didn't need the National Guard. Why on earth? What are they going to do? Do you know what the National Guard is doing now?
And this is a part of the Esau's plan to make it look like her, the mayor of Los Angeles, as well as the governor of California itself, Gavin Newsom, they're making it seem like that they're not with Trump, what Trump is doing, what that administration is doing. They're all in it together, all right? They're all in it together, okay? And I got another video to show and prove that, okay? Of the same Democracy Now! Channel. But anyway, Salakia, let me let it play.
They are guarding two buildings. They're guarding the federal building here in downtown, and they're guarding the federal building in Westwood. That's what they're doing. So they need Marines on top of it? I don't understand that. That's why I feel like we are part of an experiment that we did not ask to be a part of.
Despite the Trump administration's militarized response, community protests against ICE raids are continuing in Los Angeles and other cities. In fact, on Saturday, the day that President Trump will be celebrating his 79th birthday, and there will be Abrams tanks in a birthday parade in Washington, D.C., rolling through the streets of the Capitol. We go now to Los Angeles, where we're joined by Jean Guerrero. She's contributing opinion writer at the New York Times and author of the book Hate Monger, Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, and the White Nationalist Agenda.
And that's what's really going on, all right? That is what's really going on. I like the title of her book, you know?
Gene, why don't we start?
So I'm gonna fast forward it. Let's go back up here, cause I'll place these links in the description box. You can watch the whole thing, but I just want to get to these points. All right.
And what we're seeing is a provocation, you know, the deployment of the National Guard and the Marines against the wishes of California's leaders. It is an attack on the sovereignty of the state of California, and it is an effort to provoke Angelenos into a violent confrontation. They want protesters to react violently, to distract from what is really happening, which is that, you know, families are being separated, our communities are being devastated, and the people of Los Angeles are standing up to say, we will not stand for this. But the administration is trying to bait them into violence, to brand them as rebels and justify sweeping federal crackdowns and to create the viral images that will distract Americans from the appalling reality that ICE is kidnapping valued community members and destroying families here in Los Angeles.
And Jean, you've posted on social media, quote, Trump's immigration agenda is not about law and order, it's about re-engineering the racial demographics of this country. Could you elaborate, especially in terms of the fact that Stephen Miller Trump's key advisor has called this a fight for civilization.
Yeah, you know, this crackdown is personal for Stephen Miller, as
Now, Stephen Miller, before we let her speak, I looked him up. You can't tell me that this ain't no supreme racist Idumean right here. Just look at the picture. All right, I'm gonna read a little bit. This is from Southern Poverty Law Center. All right, I'm gonna read this a little bit. It says Stephen Miller is credited with shaping the racist and draconian immigration policies of President Trump, which include the zero tolerance policy, also known as family separation, the Muslim ban, and ending the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. Miller has also purged government agencies of civil servants who are not entirely loyal to his extremist agenda, according to a report in Vanity Fair. All right. Now this is, you can check this whole thing out. Okay. This is the receipts on this guy. Okay. These are the people. He's a part of the plan that's been put together, and they are on the mission to execute it right now as we speak. Okay. This is one of the guys. Okay. These are the Idumeans who are aiming to execute a plan to eradicate the Israelites, to dwindle us down to just numbers, barely, and to ultimately micro C-hip us all. All right. Now, let me read a couple of these in his own words. This is things that he has said. It says it was a simple decision by the administration to have zero tolerance policy for illegal entry, period. The message is that no one is exempt from immigration law. Okay? No one. June 16, 2018, Miller's response to criticism of the administration's former zero tolerance policy, also known as family separation. And this is what they're doing now. All right? And this goes back. He was a part of DJT's first run. All right? Okay? It says, this is what he said here. It says, the fundamental question of our time is whether the West has the will to survive. And when they say the West, they're talking about Edomites. They ain't talking about the regions, and it's talking about them ruling. Okay? Do we have the confidence in our values to defend them at any cost? Do we have enough respect for our citizens to protect our borders? And trust and believe, the citizens he's talking about is not you tribes. Okay? They're focusing on the Latin indigenous tribes. All right? Latin and indigenous tribes. But this goes for you too, Judah. All right? Don't get it twisted. Okay? It says, do we have the desire and courage to preserve our civilization in the fact of those who would subvert and destroy it? Okay, he said that back in 2017. The powers of the president to protect our country are very substantial and will not be questioned. Back in 2017. Okay? He wasn't even in the office. He wasn't in there. Well, he was. I'm sorry, Salaki. He was in the office, but then he lost in 2020. So-called loss. All right? They had to create... See, Biden was put in there to create a country of disorder. All right? To show Jake smashing and grabbing and tearing up the goddamn city. Or tearing up Babylon itself. With no consequences. All right? And now he's the cleanup guy, DJT and his administration. All right? It's all a setup, man. This is all their plan, and they are putting it in motion to execute it. Okay? It said it has never been easier in American history for illegal aliens to commit crimes of violence against Americans. It says this is a good chance to expose that ridiculous Statue of Liberty myth. Poem has nothing to do with it. Indeed, 2 decades after poem was added, Coolidge shut down immigration. And he said that back in 2015. All right? Right before DJT got into his first term. It says, like the mystics of old, the one sure way to get rich in modern America is to offer yourself up as a virtual signal to those seeking to prove themselves members in good standing of the national religion, diversity. All right? So he's been on, and she even mentions, when we go back here, she's going to mention even back in high school, he was a demon because he went to high school here in California, Southern California. So she mentioned even back then he was a demon towards the tribes, in specific the Latin tribes. So let's go back. We're going to bring in the scriptures. I just wanted to bring in, and set it up with these videos and whatnot. So, but I will place everything in the description box.
In my book, Hate Monger, when he was a high school student in Los Angeles, he frequently antagonized his Latino and immigrant classmates, telling them to, quote, speak English and to go back to their home countries. Back then, he was criticized for his views, and he has spent his career trying to punish the communities that rejected him. These mass deportations are not about border security, they're not about crime, they're about erasing the multicultural fabric of places like Los Angeles. And, I want to repeat that this is not about cracking down on crime. Let's remember that on his first day in office, President Trump pardoned the people who violently assaulted law enforcement during the storming of the Capitol on January 6th. So Trump and Miller are not against crime. They're not against gang members. In fact, in my book, I extensively document Miller's early dreams of being a gangster. What they're doing is they're running a mafia state that scapegoats immigrants as a pretext for the subjugation of us all. So again...
And that's real talk. That's real talk. They're using so-called immigration as a scapegoat so that they can subjugate us all. All right?
They do not care about law and order. Miller's central obsession was never illegal immigration. It was always legal immigration. This is why from day one you saw the strangling of refugees, access to refugees, a suffocation of the asylum system, strangling of green card access, the attack on birthright citizenship, trying to now invoke the Insurrection Act to deport people indiscriminately simply based on the color of their skin. So again, this is not about national security. It is an ideological project of demographic engineering cloaked in the language of law enforcement, and LA is resisting.
So like I said, I'll place that link in the description box. You can check it out. All right. This is Esau cloaking himself under the bullshit that he's talking so that he can crack down on the Israelites and ultimately kill off majority and hip the population. All right. So now this is another clip. Same channel, but it has another guest. All right, and we're just gonna jump right into it.
Yeah. We begin today's show in Los Angeles, where President Trump has deployed the California National Guard in defiance of California Governor Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. This comes after protests erupted against ICE's military-style raids in and around LA. The Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, has also threatened to deploy 500 active-duty Marines from Camp Pendleton. White House advisor Stephen Miller labeled the ICE protests an insurrection. On Sunday, Trump warned this could be just the beginning of deploying troops on U.S. streets.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
Early.
And that's again, like I said earlier, the Biden reign was to show this type of behavior, this type of activity, and nothing was being done, so-called. He's the cleanup guy. This administration is the cleanup guy. We're not going to let our country, he's the cleanup guy, man. All right, so we're going to fast forward a little bit. Well, actually, we'll play it from here.
Today, Trump wrote on social media, looking really bad in LA, bring in the troops, unquote. California Governor Gavin Newsom plans to sue the Trump administration today. He wrote, quote, commandeering a state's National Guard without consulting the governor of that state is illegal and immoral, unquote. This marks the first time since the 1960s a president's deployed the National Guard without a governor's request. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders said Trump is, quote, moving this country rapidly into authoritarianism. California State Senator Scott Wiener said, quote, this is what fascism looks like, unquote. On Sunday, police forces in Los Angeles fired rubber bullets, flashbang grenades, and tear gas at protesters who gathered to condemn the ICE raids and deployment of the National Guard. Sunday night, LA police declared all of downtown Los Angeles an unlawful assembly. Over the past week, federal immigration agents arrested about 118 people in the LA region. On Friday, agents also arrested David Huerta, president of the California branch of SEIU, that's Service Employees International Union. He was charged with obstruction, needed to be treated at the hospital because of his injuries. He remains in custody. On Sunday, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass decried the ICE raids and the Trump administration's response.
What we're seeing in Los Angeles is chaos that is provoked by the administration. When you raid Home Depot and workplaces, when you tear parents and children apart, and when you run armored caravans through our streets, you cause fear and you cause panic. And deploying federalized troops is a dangerous escalation.
This comes as Trump's border czar.
And that, what she said, you cause fear and panic. That's exactly true. All right, I did a run for this company yesterday. I did a run for them, off the relay app. I did a run, drop basically did a run for them. And when I went to turn in the keys to the Issacharite that was, giving me the assignments, he was like, hey man, I'm sorry, man. It was just a crazy day. I was like, it's all good, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because I basically was just sitting, waiting after I did one run. But he said, I was like, what you mean? What you mean by it being crazy? He said, everybody afraid to come to work. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a predominantly Issacharite employee ran company with Amalek at the helm of that motherfucker, the owner. All right, I couldn't believe it when I seen Amalek. I'm sitting in the truck and I see Amalek pull up to his office with the small hat on, and I'm like, wow. You know what I'm saying? But point being is what Jake had told me, Issacharite had told me. He said, yeah, we couldn't get a lot of orders out because nobody showed up to work. Now I don't work for the actual company. I'm on the relay, so if they need drivers, they'll call. They provide the equipment and you just operate it. So what Karen Karen Bass just said, it causes fear. Indeed, it has. All right, and that was just one company in L.A. That I'm sure there's many more who are dealing with the same type of environment where the workers are afraid to show up to work because they're afraid to be, grabbed up and shipped out of here.
Homan has threatened to have Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom arrested if they interfere with federal immigration enforcement. Homan spoke to NBC's Jacob Soboroff.
You cross that line, it's a felony to knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien. It's a felony to impede law enforcement from doing their job.
Do you think that the mayor of LA is doing that?
That's Homan, that's DJT, that's the czar, the border czar, all right? So this admin, they all Edomites, and they executing their plan for Edomite supremacy to continue to rule. Now we're gonna fast forward it to right here, all right? Matter of fact, we're gonna, like I said, I'll play the description. Put it in the description box. You could go back and watch it all. I'm gonna go straight. I want to find the point where he's asked the question. It's about 8 minutes. Yeah, here we go. We'll start here. 8:06. We'll start here.
We can, and we're going to continue to do so.
And Ron, you mentioned Paramount on Saturday. For those people who are not familiar with that town south of Los Angeles, there's also been a change in the Trump administration tactics. Originally, they claimed they were going after criminals. Now, increasingly, they're being pushed to increase the arrest numbers, so they're hitting workplaces. So, could you talk about this change and how this is affecting the community?
Yeah, the fascist Trump administration is trying to lie and confuse the American people into supporting this repression, into supporting these immigration raids by having the general public think that they're going after criminals. But now what's publicly known, what's painfully clear, is that the majority of these raids are going after workers, working class people. They're not going after criminals. They're going at Home Depots. They're going at construction sites. They're going to factories where people are working, where they're creating the resources necessary for this society to exist. And so I think everyone now knows that it's a lie. They're going after anyone and everyone who has brown skin specifically. And, they're attacking pretty much anybody. You have the Asian community. You have black immigrants under attack. You have anybody in this country who isn't a white male, basically, who is under attack. So I think working people everywhere should see this as an attack on working class people, and they should all unite in solidarity to repel these attacks against our community. And so, again, we've proven time and time again, when we organize ourselves, we can defend ourselves. At this moment, it's 5:30 or so in Los Angeles, or 5 in the morning in Los Angeles. We already have people all over Los Angeles right now patrolling the streets of Los Angeles, looking for any ICE activity. That's the work that we do on a daily basis to protect our communities. So on one hand, there's street protests, and those are important, but the other part is organized and coordinated resistance by patrolling our streets, defending our streets. We can't protect the entire city of Los Angeles, but in our neighborhoods, in our barrios, we can defend ourselves, and we are doing that.
And what is your sense?
So I'll leave it there as far as these videos, but I'll place them links in the description box. So as you can see, based on their conversations, they see that this is all a cloak for them to establish their so-called New World Order, which is them ruling, all right, Edomite supremacy, their pseudo-kingdom, all right? So now let's get to the scriptures. Hope you're still with me. Let's get to the book of Job, the 5th chapter, all right? Job 5:12, it says, "He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprises." All right? Now, as you see, Esau has a device, a crafty device, which he's calling immigration enforcement. All right. That's what he's labeling this whole thing as. We need to get the immigrants out of here, the criminals, this, that, and the third. When it's now evident that they ain't just going after the criminals, they going after working people. All right, in particular the Latin tribes, which will trickle down to the rest of you tribes. All right, this is his device that he's bringing in, very crafty. Okay. That's what's happening, okay? But the Most High is gonna destroy his crafty plan. As a matter of fact, let's get a couple scriptures to prove that. First we're gonna go to 2 Samuel. Let me pull up another app so I can keep that place. We're gonna go to Samuel, 2 Samuel, the 15th chapter. All right. The Lord gonna disappoint this man, all right? Just like we have many examples of the Lord disappointing councils that were not what the Lord wanted, all right? In this case, we'll read 14 and 15, all right? Let me see. I'm sorry. We'll get down more. There we go. Straight to the point. I mean, you can read the whole story, but this is how the Lord will disappoint a council that's not what he wants to happen. All right, and even amongst Israel, because this was the case here. 2 Samuel 15:31, and one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. And just like the Lord did turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness, he's going to turn the counsel of Esau into foolishness. All right? He disappointed the devices of the crafty. All right? Let's go to the 17th chapter. All right? Because the same way the Lord disappointed these councils, he's going to disappoint the councils of Edom. All right? And he did it before too. I got another scripture we're going to get from the book of Nehemiah, but it says see if we can start at 13. Let's see. Let's let's go straight to the point. Verse 14. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel, to the intent that the Lord might bring evil upon Absalom. All right? So just as he did, and if you know the history of what Absalom was on, then you know why the Lord did what he did. All right? So just as he did it with going back to our own history amongst each other, the drama that unfolded amongst each other as a nation, how much more Esau? Esau not going to be able to perform his evil ass plan. All right? No. The Lord going to disappoint it. Now, let's get the book of Nehemiah. Chapter 4. Nehemiah 4. And as a matter of fact, I'll start at the top to show you how they these heathens, they wanted to get at us because we were building our wall up. Let's see, yeah, here we go. I'll start at 1. It says, "But it came to pass that when Sanballat heard that we builded the wall, he was wroth." And that's basically what's happening now. Esau, Edom sees that we're building up as far as the elect. We're building ourselves up through the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, standing in great boldness. And now they have to do something about it. All right? And this is why they have deployed this plan of so-called immigration enforcement, which really is to crack down on the Israelites, because the Israelites are waking up to who they are. All right, that's really what's going on. All right, it says, "He was wroth and took great indignation and mocked the Jews." All right, so what we're seeing is Esau's anger getting ready, or he coming down. Revelation 12:12. He coming down with great wrath, because he know he got a short time. All right, we the word has gone global. Okay, but he can't fully say it's because y'all found out that y'all the Israel. He can't fully say that. He can't fully say we gotta come down on you because y'all know who y'all are and we don't want to go into slavery. No. He can't do that, and it's not written for that to happen. All right, but that's what's happening. He's coming down with great wrath because he know he ain't got much time before the elect is sealed. All right. It says, "And he spake before his brethren and the army of Samaria, and said, What do these feeble Jews? Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they make an end in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of rubbish which are burnt?" And that's basically like what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing. We're all lively stones that's being revived. All right. I'm talking members of the elect. It says, "Now Tobiah the Ammonite was by him, and he said, Even that which they build, if a fox go up, he shall even break down their stone wall." And then here's the prayer of Nehemiah. "Hear, O my power, for we are despised, and turn their Salakia." Let me calm down. Verse 4 again. "Hear, O our power, hear, O our God, for we are despised, and turn their reproach upon their own head." Okay? "And give them for a prey in the land of captivity." And this is what you should be praying for. All right, the scriptures that have been written aforetime were written for our learning. All right, this is our learning going on. What happened when the nations came against us? Our forefathers prayed to the Heavenly Father to turn it upon themselves. All right, and the Most High came through. All right, verse 5, "And cover not their iniquity, and let not their sin be blotted out from before thee, for they have provoked thee to anger before the builders." All right, so built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof, for the people had a mind to work. And this is what's happening right now in the spirit, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right? This is exactly what's happening, but these heathens don't want it to happen. Beginning with Esau, Edom. They don't want us to build ourselves up. All right? And to be confident in our God, Yahweh, by the belief of his son, in the name of his son, Yahweh Shai. Okay? That poses a threat to these goddamn devils and the rest of the nations, because they know what it means once we all standing up. Talking about all meaning the elect. That means they're going into slavery. Okay? It says, but it came to pass that when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabians and the Ammonites and the Ashdodites, should I say, yeah, that's how you say it, Ashdodites, heard that the walls of Jerusalem were made up and that the breaches began to be stopped, then were they very wroth, all right, and conspired all of them together to come and fight against Jerusalem and to hinder it, all right. And that's exactly what's happening right now, all right. So jumping down to verse 15, the point, it says, and it came to pass when our enemies heard that it was known unto us, and the Most High had brought their counsel to naught, that we returned all of us to the wall, everyone onto his work. So basically, the Lord confounded what they wanted to do as we were building back then. Same thing the Lord gonna do today. But this time we are gonna go back to building, but we gonna come back down, and we gonna have these nations in slavery, and they gonna build up what our treasure city, Jerusalem, and make it glorious once again. And not just Jerusalem, the rest of the planet Earth. All right? So from there, let's go to the book of Psalms. Psalms 33. Right? We in some very beautiful time, man. We finna see the Lord work. All right? On both sides, we're going to see the judgment of the Lord getting carried out on 2/3, and we're going to see the judgment, the righteous judgment of the elect being delivered from all these perils that's getting ready to spill over into society, man. All right? We're at the beginning stages. This is Psalms 33, verse 10. It says, the Lord bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught. He maketh the devices of the people of none effect. The counsel of the Lord standeth forever, and the counsel of the Lord is that we are going to rule the planet Earth under his beloved son, only begotten son, Yahweh Shai, man. That's the counsel of the Lord. That's what the end game is. Okay? Not these Edomites ruling with everybody with C-hips in them, and they controlling and allocating your UBI, all right? You eating fake foods, and they just ruling from some shit like in Elysium, okay? When you watch the movie Elysium, that's their plan. That's what they really want, for us to be down here just messed up, and them living luxurious out in the heavens with the top-notch technology for themselves. Okay? It says, the counsel of the Lord standeth forever, the thoughts of his heart to all generations. And the thoughts of the Lord's heart is for his sons, all right, the Israelites, to rule the planet Earth in righteousness. All right? From here, we're going to get 1 Corinthians 3. And then I got one more scripture, and we'll close it after we read Job 5. I got one more after that. 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter. verse 19, it says, 1 Corinthians 3:19, it says, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. Okay? And again, the Lord knoweth the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain. Okay? And we seeing the thoughts of the wise being played out in real time right now. All right? With their so-called immigration enforcement. This is Job 5:12 again. 5:12 through 14. It said, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. They meet in darkness in the daytime, and grope in the noonday as in the night. And this is what we're seeing right now happening. But the Lord is going to disappoint them. All right? So we're ended here with Isaiah 44. And this is why we tell you repent. All right? It's time to repent out here, man. Get it together. All right? Because the Lord is allowing this man to do these things. And if you don't know the Lord in the midst of it, you're going to be caught up in it. Okay? Isaiah 44 and yeah, we'll start at 24. It says, thus saith the Lord thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb. I am the Lord that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself, that frustrateth the tokens of the liars. All right? This whole shit that this administration got going on, it's a whole lie so that they can set up their Edomite supremacist world. As a matter of fact, that just reminded me. Let me show you this this trailer. Okay? And I'll never forget the video Apostle Ramlab did going back, I believe before 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? This is the documentary The Family on Netflix. The Family. It's not about faith, it's about power. And we talking about Edomite power over the planet. That's what it's about, man. Okay? So let's just peep this. This is fair use. All right? Not making any money. I just, this is for educational purposes only.
In my 20s, I stumbled my way in, and what I found is a secretive Christian organization called The Family that had been hiding in plain sight for over 80 years.
This was a group with tentacles around the world.
A humble example of leadership that the world has never seen.
A breathtaking enmeshment of church and state.
There were congressmen, senators, world leaders.
And they say it's about faith, but there's a shared understanding that what we're really about here is power.
I'd like to single out Doug Coe.
Doug Coe and all of his associates. I'm grateful.
Doug Coe is the longtime leader of The Family.
He's the most powerful man in Washington you've never heard of.
He said the more invisible you can make your organization, the more influence it will have.
Jesus plus nothing. It's a powerful thing.
Using the National Prayer Breakfast, they dispatch representatives to build relationships with foreign leaders.
That is exactly the kind of meeting that I would want to exploit.
For The Family, Jesus says you must go to those who are in positions of power.
God always uses imperfect vessels to do.
And this is the final piece of their plan that they're executing. This man right here. Watch this episode. Watch the whole documentary if you know what I'm saying. But in particular, the 5th episode, which they entitled The Wolf King. It's in execution right now. Their plan is in execution mode right now, man. All right, and it's still on there. They ain't took it down. All right.
Perfect work.
They tell you in plain sight, revealing of the method, man. And you seen all them. This is all Edomite power control over the entire planet Earth. This is what they want. Okay?
President Trump's an imperfect vessel. Jesus is the answer, but Jesus and Capitol Hill don't mix.
Because we want our family to stay together.
The family of Edomites. All right? So let's go back to this. Isaiah 44:25. It says, that frustrateth the tokens of the liars, and maketh diviners mad, that turneth wise men backward, and maketh their knowledge foolish, that confirmeth the word of his servant, which are the prophets, and performeth the counsel of his messengers, which are the prophets, that saith to Jerusalem, thou shalt be inhabited, and to the cities of Judah ye shall be built up, and I will raise up the decayed places thereof. This is what's going to happen. This is the counsel of the Lord, and everything else will be brought to naught. Thus saith the Holy Scriptures, the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So Lord will, this was edifying to the hopeful elect. Giving all praise unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And I know I was kind of all over the place, but Lord will, the point was conveyed, and there was edification that came from it. And we on to the next video. Shalom.